everybody. I'm Candid Frank. He's Aaron William Freeland, and this is Maple Leaf Talk. And by Maple Leaf Talk, we're talking Canadians, athletes, and teams in sports. And there's been a lot of excitement the past couple of weeks, especially with young tennis players. We got more coming to you. Let's take it over to Aaron. How you doing today?
Doing well. Frank, how are you?
I'm good. I'm just peachy keen. Peachy keen. Yeah, really good. I'm in good shape. For sure. The Jays had a interesting finale with the LA Dodgers. Two premier pitchers pitching against each other. Yeah,
and what's affectionately being called the Cooperstown match. You had Scherzer versus Kershaw. They went toe-to-toe for 6 innings. It was Scherzer's 465th career start. Kershaw was starting in his 337th game. Unfortunately, it didn't quite turn out the way the Jays were hoping for. They ended up losing 5-1. That was on Friday. They're both the latest members to join the 3,000 strikeout club. Kershaw allowed 1 run and 7 hits, striking out 4, and Scherzer gave up 2 runs and 6 hits, struck out 5, and walked 3. Both of them have won 3 Cy Young awards each and are likely headed to the Hall of Fame, hence the Cooperstown moniker. But I think the thing that broke everything open was when Betts grounded into a fielder's choice to shortstop in the 7th. Bichette threw home, and Freeland slid on his side and onto his back with his right hand reaching for the plate. Kirk applied the tag, but the Blue Jays lost the repay challenge, and the Dodgers, at that point ended up taking a 3-1 lead. That was the first loss of the weekend, unfortunately for the Blue Jays, and it didn't quite stop there. Shohei Ohtani performed some of his magic, hit his 40th home run in the game on Saturday night. Snell also outpitched the Blue Jays. The Dodgers went on to win that one 9-1. This is Ohtani's 3rd season in a row with 40 homers. And this is actually the 4th time overall the two-way superstar from Japan has reached 40 homers. The previous 3 came during MVP season, so I think it's a good indication that he's heading back that way again. LA broke it open with 6 runs in the 6th as Dalton Rushing and Mookie Betts each had a 2-run single before Andy Pages tacked on a 2-run double. Snell permitted 3 hits and 3 walks in his 4th start this season, and his 2nd since returning August 2nd from a shoulder injury that had sidelined him since early April. Clement was the lone bright spot with a solo home run for the Blue Jays in the 8th inning.
It didn't end there for Clement.
No, he's been absolutely on fire lately. Shohei Ohtani led off the game on Sunday with his 41st homer, but Ernie Clement hit the tie-breaking home run off the 9th, leading off the 9th inning, and the Jays hung on to avoid a series sweep with a 5-4 win over the LA Dodgers on Sunday. Mason Fluharty earned his first career save after replacing Hoffman in the 9th with the bases loaded and 1 out. He struck out Ohtani with a full count breaking ball before getting Mookie Betts on a game-ending grounder. After Vladdy hit a tying home run and Addison Barger followed with a go-ahead shot for Toronto off struggling Blake Treinen in the 8th inning, Clement hit the first pitch from Alex Vesia 2-2 in the 9th into the left field bleachers. So Ohtani had 2 hits and was intentionally walked, but still doing damage.
And LA scores a run on a walk with the bases loaded on a 4th pitch, ball 4 that was in the strike zone.
Yeah.
Just say it.
I'm glad they brought in the replays, though, because there would have been no recourse for that sort of thing if it was any other year.
But you know what, Aaron? It's less about the fact that you get a bad call. It's more about what you do to motivate yourself to overcome that. So the real story isn't that the Jays got a bad call and a run scored that could have put them away and led to another defeat, right? Instead, they did what you need to do, which is buck up and make it happen for you. Work against what the disadvantages that you have, and that's the lesson there. Let's go to the Canadian Football League, and oh my goodness, well, we were there for this game. The Toronto Argonauts hosting the Ottawa Red Blacks. The Argos tossed their hat in the ring at the beginning of the game. Then they crumpled it up and threw it in the trash at the end of the game. What a tale of, oh my goodness, this is getting to be a real habit for the Argos, playing really well when the gun goes off to start the game. And then when the game's played for a while, you begin to realize maybe they were shot when that gun went off, because they started bleeding out as the game progressed.
And it was just a succession of like death by 1,000 cuts. You know, they jumped out to a fantastic start, 22-1 after the first quarter. And you kept thinking to yourself, I don't think there is any way they could possibly do wrong here.
As soon as you said that, you know that wasn't true, right, Aaron?
Oh, yeah.
The back of your mind was going, oh, God, they're ahead 22-1.
Like, as soon as they went up by the third touchdown, I was like, oh, this is going to end horrifically. Good. No, this is definitely.
Ottawa has Toronto where they want them. Thinking they want them.
But then, you know, I mean, after Ottawa brought it back to 19-25 at the half, you could hear it, and it seemed like the Toronto players heard the footsteps too. You could almost see them start to tighten up and play more tentative as the third quarter started. They ended up getting outplayed and outscored in that one, 13-6. They kind of made it close-ish in the fourth quarter. But at the end, ended up getting outscored 14-11, and yeah, like I said, death by 1,000 cuts, man. You can't keep playing that way and hope to pull it out. It's been a very disappointing season, but at the same time, the calls for Dinwiddie to be fired, I think, are a little too over the top. Based on his record with the Argonauts for the past couple of years, I think
really
calling for his firing need to reevaluate.
Do you really want to fire the guy who was the head coach of your team that won 2 Grey Cups in 3 years and finished first in that bad year where they didn't win the Grey Cup? And they broke a record that year for wins.
And it's not even like it's out of reach. You know, I mean, there is still a possibility for them to do something.
He pointed to what he thinks is one of the problems, where he has too many guys in the locker room, however many that is, whoever it is, that talk a mean game but don't play it. And here's the thing. I'll put it a different way. One thing that we've established and he said this in the post game as well. When things are going well, they motor, but soon as adversity starts to set in, they don't know how to buck adversity. You know, I just talked about the Blue Jays, a bad call, a walk, bases loaded, bad call by the ump. They come back, they win. The Argos seem to lack the fortitude to overcome adversity. And what happens when adversity presents itself? It just runs away on the Argos. We've seen it all year, Aaron. We've seen where the team has done really well. And then as soon as they get hit with a little bit of adversity, things start rolling, and it's a snowball going downhill, and they can't seem to stop it, which speaks to leadership. I don't want to say, because you know how I feel about leadership in the locker room or in the dressing room, in the clubhouse. It doesn't matter where. Leadership there is meaningless to me. It's the leadership on the field that they're missing. You could have all the best leadership in the locker room that you could find, but unless there's leadership on the field that immediately reacts, play after play after play reacts, as opposed to, okay, the game's over, we lost, what did we do wrong? Who cares? Actually, who cares? It's about dealing with problems on the field. And I'm beginning to think that they lack leadership on the field in critical areas.
There does seem to be a lack of a field general, for lack of a better term.
Multiple, like it doesn't have to be one individual, right? Mm-hmm. I'll cite an example. Here's my example. The opposition runs back a kick for a touchdown. On the next kick, there's got to be leadership somewhere in there that says, hey, you know what we did there? We're not doing that again. This is what we're doing this time. You know what I mean? Like that's the sign for me that there's a lack of on-field leadership, when you make the same devastating mistake that you made the first time. Now, can you put that on players? That's the easy. What I just said is easy. That's easy to determine. But here's the factor that one has to take into consideration. are there players available to the head coach and the assistant coaches to follow the plan to success? Or is the problem they don't have the horses to run the system? That's the next question. Because in sports, it doesn't always come down to the player, doesn't always come down, believe it or not, to the assistant coach or the coach in football. It can also come to the person providing the players for those coaches to coach. So I'm saying it's a team problem, and the team has to figure it out.
There does often seem to be a lack of will, which I think is the most striking thing out there. And especially in a physical game like football, if the will is missing, then team success is always going to be constrained and very limited.
And that will, the word will implies that you ignore what's going on around you as well, and you do your job. And part of the problem sometimes, I'm highlighting some of the issues I think that could be a factor. I don't know which one's the determining one, but it's also, as a team, even when you care about the guy beside you, you're caring about that guy beside you has to leave you to trust him that he's going to do his job. And don't you worry about doing his job. Do your job. Let him do his job, and you do your job. Sometimes that becomes an issue too, where teams start screwing up, and then people think, well, I got to help that guy because we're screwing up there. But as soon as you go to do that guy's job, your job's not getting 100% attention, which every position, everybody in every play has to make.
No, that's 100%. As soon as you start trying to cover for somebody else, that's when you find yourself in even deeper trouble.
And that's what losing teams, that's the rut that losing teams get into. It's not a question of always you don't have the guys that want to win, or even, to use your word, to have the will to win. It's also the fact, can they win? Do they have the ability? The will's there, but maybe the ability isn't there, or an understanding of what needs to be done. So yeah, the Argos need a lot of work to do, to fix things up. If you look at Edmonton, you can see how a change, not small, because I always talk about how important the quarterback is, but look what Edmonton did against Montreal.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at the way that they came back, that they rallied, especially in Cody Fajardo's return game, that was something I don't think that Montreal was expecting. And, for them to take it 23-22, especially with Montreal being 5-3-0 coming into that game and Edmonton being 1-6, you would say that the odds of them coming back and taking the game are slim. But revenge games, hometown returns, or former team returns always seem to be a little more spectacular.
And especially when the team that's behind has the will to.
And here's the thing, they started the first quarter terribly. They were down 10-1 after the first. And, they came right back and took it 10-3 in the second. But it wasn't until the fourth quarter where they managed to rack up 12 points that I think everything finally turned around for them. And it was a close game. This is one of those hard-fought, well-contested games all the way through.
Absolutely. We also had Rene Paredes kick a field goal at the end of the game to give the Calgary Stampeders a victory over the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers led that game all game. And I guess that I know three now when I'm thinking about it. Three of the games were won by teams making pretty significant comebacks to win. And this was another one with Rene Paredes and the Calgary Stampeders, shortening the difference in score and then making the big play at the end of the game.
Yeah, and you know what? To pull it out 28-27, especially at McMahon, is no mean feat. Don't get me wrong. Zach Collaros played well. He had 214 yards and a touchdown. Brady Oliveira got 68 yards and 12 carries. He also tallied 100 yards on 9 receptions. Vernon Adams threw for 300 yards and 2 touchdowns when Dedrick Mills hit 100 yards on the ground with 105 yards on 18 carries. That is, and I think another thing that plays into it too is not just the will to win, but the fact that players need to hate to lose.
Do whatever it takes to win. Absolutely.
Exactly.
Okay, let's talk about Tennis Canada, and Canada's Shapovalov falls to Italy's Nardi in the second round match at the Cincinnati Open.
Yeah, he dropped it 6-7, 6-3, 6-4 on Sunday in second round play at the Cincy Open. He was seeded 24th at the ATP Tour's Masters 1000 tournament. Nardi, who entered the main draw as a lucky loser, needed 2 hours and 28 minutes to complete the win. He's going to play 16th seed Czech Jakub Mensik in the next round. Not what Shapovalov was hoping for. Obviously, the intent here is to win. Coming off a disappointing NBO in Toronto, you'd think he was hoping for a better result than what he got. But at this point, on to the next. However, all is not lost. Felix Auger-Aliassime and Gabriel Diallo also advanced to the third round in men's singles. Unfortunately, Leylah Fernandez exited the women's draw on Saturday. Auger-Aliassime was seeded 23rd and won 6-2, 7-6 over Argentina's Thomas Martin Echeverry. And Gabriel Diallo, the 30th seed, defeated Argentina's Sebastian Baez 7-5, 6-4. Fernandez, meanwhile, lost her second match in a row since capturing the DC Open title in July. She was seeded 21st, but fell 6-3, 6-3 against Jessica Buzas Manero of Spain, who made good on 4 of her 6 breakpoint chances in the second round match. Gabriela Dabrowski of Ottawa and her partner Aaron Routliffe of New Zealand won 7-5, 7-5 versus Sue of Taiwan, Nina Shibahara of Japan to get through their first round. We'll have to see where they finish up.
Absolutely. Let's go to hockey, and we'll start with the Montreal Canadiens. Something going on with defensemen in Montreal.
Yeah, there must be something in the water. Earlier this offseason, they re-signed defenseman Jaden Struble to a 2-year contract with an AAV of $1.4125 million. Getting the deal done with Struble was important. He's one of their promising young defensemen. He's big. He's got a good head on his shoulders and good hockey sense. Based on his performance last year, they're considering him to be one of their breakout candidates for this year. He's got some NHL experience under his belt, hence the increase in his contract. It's only a 2-year deal, but this could potentially be his 2-year show-me deal.
Well, it gets you another good deal. Let's talk about the Ottawa Senators and a former player in Mark Borowiecki.
So Boro Cop, as his nickname is, was one of those really, really big and really rough fighters. He played 458 regular season NHL games. He had 15 goals, 56 points, and 848 penalty minutes. More known for his pugnacious style and work ethic as opposed to his scoring ability. He says, I look at it from a different lens now. For me, coming up in the league, it was a way to survive and make a name for myself. If I was coaching my son now, I'd be focusing on competing and playing hard as opposed to encouraging him to go fight. If there's a way that I'm going to approach the game with my son, I'm not going to push other kids to it. I don't really have much desire to see 17-year-old kids hitting each other. It doesn't do it for me at the junior level. And at the NHL level, really, if you've got the skill set to get through it, he's obviously seeing it a different way. It's not necessary.
Sometimes you think it's the only way that you can get there. And sometimes there's nudge, nudge, wink, wink, management kind of says, we need a little more physicality from you. And that is, there's a wide spectrum of reaction to that statement, right, Aaron? So it's not always about fighting. It's also about physical play, but sometimes fighting establishes a message that you're willing to do what it takes. But it doesn't work, and we've seen it more and more as time progresses. Players whose only acumen is fighting become dispensable. There's got to be more to your game. That there just has to be more to your game. Let's talk about the Flames and how's their off season gone, Aaron? You want to give us a little review? Are they going to make the playoffs?
Well, it's been interesting. I mean, the hope is certainly there. There are, however, a couple of things that they need to get sorted out sooner rather than later. Connor Zary, who was their breakout star from last year, currently remains unsigned. Getting that deal done is one of those non-negotiable things for the Flames if they want to keep their core intact. There's also uncertainty around Erasmus Anderson's future. They need to clarify that in the next couple of weeks.
There's talk he could be a Maple Leaf.
I mean, it's not entirely out of the realm of possibility. The good news is they already signed Morgan Frost to a 2-year contract. Martin Pospisil is in the mix for 3 more years. Goaltending insurance, they've got Ilya Prosvetov, a still developing netminder. They've re-signed Kevin Ball and Joel Hanley, who provide depth and dependability on the blue line. Morton, Cairns, Kuznetsov, and Poirier have all been re-signed, solidifying their developmental pipeline. So there is the very real possibility that they could find themselves back in the playoffs. The big ticket veterans that they have up front are going to have to make sure that they perform as well. But at this point, according to my Magic 8 Ball, all signs point to yes, they'll be back in the playoffs.
Tell me about the Oilers.
Well, as we all know, they have a bit of an issue in goal. There's been a bit of a revolving door for the Oilers the past few years. However, they might be able to find some assistance from Pittsburgh. Specifically, the Penguins are reportedly open to trading Tristan Jarry, but so far there hasn't been that much of a market. The team's made Jarry available, but no clubs have shown serious interest. There's still a 75 to 80% possibility he's on the team on opening night, but the Penguins are certainly willing to remove him. It's just a question about what the return would be. With the Penguins acquiring Artur Silovs to pair with Joel Blomqvist, Yari's future in Pittsburgh is a little bit more uncertain. The Oilers could be the lifeline the Penguins need if moving Jarry becomes a priority. However, his $5.375 million cap hit is a bit of a non-starter. It's a little bit too hefty given the space that the Oilers actually have. But if Pittsburgh retains half, the Oilers could probably fit him in at around the $2.7 to $3 million mark.
Absolutely. Maple Leafs, Nicholas Raw explains why he wants to wear number 55. If you remember, an old retired defenseman wore that last.
Yeah, there was a guy by the name of, I believe it was Giordano, wore it last from 2022 to 2024. Prior to that, it was a gentleman by the name of Jason Blake who wore it from 2007 to 2010. Those are the only two. Nicholas Raw wants to go back to it because it's the number that he wore when he played with the Chicoutimi Sauganines of the Q. So there's a little bit of nostalgia there. He couldn't take it when he was in Vegas, just because Keegan Colasar already had it there. At this point, it's a very good possibility he'll be wearing that come the start of the season.
Now, I got a comment about him that what concerns me is he's out there a lot. There's a lot of press coming out for him. He's really drawing a lot of attention to himself. And the one thing being in Leafland, don't draw attention to yourself because you're going to get judged for sure. And he needs to work his way into the lineup. And what he's doing is he's creating a lot of expectations for himself on the team. And unfortunately, along with that come the fans, right? So, that's the one thing about Toronto. I'm just advising him as a person who's watched, the way Leaf players have survived, the spectacle that they are in this community, and it's, I think, in a way, I'm not comparing them to Marner, but what I am going to say is when you talk a lot about you want to do this for the team and you love the team and you wanted to play for this team and that's a bar that's pretty high. So now the fans are thinking, well, let's see. When he says that means he's willing to go through a wall, literally and figuratively, for the team. And then when he can't go through the wall, they go, he's a BSer. He's not serious. So I'm just speculating here and making a comment based on somebody should be talking to him and saying, hey, dude, step back a little bit. Be cool about this. Enjoy being a Maple Leaf. Let your on-ice play do the talking. This in Toronto, because everybody hears what you have to say. This is not Las Vegas where you yell in the media room and 18 people hear about it, within 24 hours. Here in Toronto, it's barely out of your mouth and everybody's already heard what you just said. And I'm talking people in the millions. So you have to be careful how you set yourself up playing as a Maple Leaf. That's the one thing that I would suggest if I had a chance to talk to him.
Yeah, temper expectations is the one really, really big
Let
thing.
the ice tell what goes on. And when you say something, you have to deliver a lot past what you think it takes to make what you just said true. And that's the point I make with Marner, because Marner's talked about being a Maple Leaf, but all we heard were arguments over he's not earning enough, he wants to be the captain. This is what I'm talking about. It's that banter that dug a hole for Marner. That's the banter that dug a hole for him. And this is the same kind. This is on side-ish to that, kind of the same thing. So don't build up fans' expectations. Show them what you can do. Leaf fans are very reasonable if you give them a chance to be reasonable. Just don't open the door for them to think. It's just to come up with ideas. Also, we can talk about recently retired Stanley Cup champ, first step in post-playing career.
I think it was one of the worst kept secrets. But Kyle Clifford announced his retirement for professional hockey last Wednesday, thereby ending his NHL career at 13 seasons. But at the same time, he said that he was going to be staying involved with the team in a undisclosed player development role. As it currently stands, it does appear that he has been slotted in as one of the members of the hockey development team under assistant general manager Haley Wickenheiser. So we'll have to see how that goes for him. But after winning a cup in Los Angeles, actually two in 2012 and 2014, and with the amount of grit and sandpaper that he brought to the Maple Leafs and in turn to the Marlies, it'll be interesting to see where it goes for him from here.
Well, I mentioned Marner. You talk about here that you want to talk about the question out there with Mitch Marner as he joins the Vegas Golden Knights.
Yeah, this question should come as no surprise to anybody. It's he looked great when he was in Toronto, as long as it was the regular season. How will Marner look outside of Toronto? So, I mean, as you can guess, the brightest spotlight is going to be shown on him. He's 28 now. He had a career year with 102 points in 81 games. He's paced for at least 100 points in each of the last 4 seasons, but often missed a handful of games for one reason or another. He could potentially be featured on a line with Jack Eichel or Mark Stone. Now, while he's already played next to some of the best players in the world, the question does then remain if the Golden Knights have the horses so that he can continue to look as good as he has.
Yes, and I don't disagree at all. And I will also add this. I'm curious, because history is a great teacher, as you know. He goes to the team. I haven't heard yet whether he's getting a letter on his jersey. We know what happened when it came to a letter. I mentioned it earlier. What happened when it came to a letter on a jersey with him in Toronto? It really upset the group. When I say the group, not just Marner, those around him, his dad, and not so much his agent, but his dad for sure. How is he going to play without having that A on him? Will it bother him that he doesn't have an A, knowing how much he's getting paid? And, is him not having an A bad reflection? I'm getting inside Marner's head. Never mind.
That's very mean of you, sir.
I know. Well, if I was playing for Florida and my name was Marchand, that's what I would say. I would put it this way. If I were Marchand, he'd say, well, I hope the Vegas Golden Knights treat Marner right and give him an A. He deserves one. Does that sound like something he'd say?
That definitely sounds like something that Marchand would say. Unfortunately.
Well, I'm saying it on his behalf. Let's talk also now about Austin Matthews. There's a nice hockey night in Canada thing happening in Brampton, and he might be headlining it.
Yeah, so we're talking about Mayor Patrick Brown's hockey night in Brampton for 2025. It's going to be Wednesday, August 20th. Doors open at 6. Puck drops at 7 at the CAA Center at 7575 Kennedy Road. Last year, they raised $14 million in support of the William Osler Health System Foundation. This year, they're planning on having a whole bunch of folks in. Not only is Austin Matthews going to be one of the captains, they're also expecting Owen Power, Ryan Getzlaff, Curtis Joseph, that recently retired fellow we talked about, Mark Giordano, Taylor Radish, Darren Radish, Travis Barron, Phil Oreskovic, Blair Turnbull of the Toronto Scepters, Renata Fast, Jeremy Roenick, Corey Hodgson, Terry Ryan from Shoresy, Owen Nolan, Ron McLean, and more, along with Rod Black and Amrit Gill, who are going to be hosting it. Tickets are available. It's for a good cause. It's all going towards charity. And I believe the average ticket price, you're looking at somewhere between, 20 to $30. It's all general admission. So first come, first serve when it comes to that sort of thing. As long as you're there early enough, you should get a decent spot in the lower bowl. And tickets are flat priced at $20 plus $6 in fees.
Mr. Hockey Night in Canada, Ron, I heard a rumor that Grapes wants to play on the other team.
Well, if Grace wants to line up and take a run at Ron,
he wants to he'd take a run at Ron. Aaron, thanks for doing this, buddy.
Not a problem, Frank. We'll see you Wednesday.
He's Aaron William Freeland. I'm Candid Frank Sanishi. Thank you for watching Maple Leaf Talk. Don't forget, you can check us out on YouTube, Candid Frank Sanishi, 10:30 on YouTube. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you next time.